A man does not suddenly lose his power, rather it slips away gradually through years of unnoticed habits. Quiet compromises and repeated acts that feel insignificant in isolation yet devastating in accumulation. Leaving behind a sense of emptiness he cannot fully explain, this loss often disguises itself as normal fatigue, or the unavoidable consequence of age and responsibility, allowing the man to accept weakness as destiny, rather than questioning the unseen forces slowly draining his vitality. Yet beneath this acceptance, there remains a subtle memory, an instinctive awareness that something essential has been misplaced, a silent contrast between who he is and who he once was. Before we dive into the secrets of semen retention power, make sure you subscribe now and join our Telegram family. The link's in the description. Don't miss the exclusive insights and daily motivation that will keep your energy, focus, and discipline unstoppable. Your success journey starts today. The modern world encourages distraction and indulgence, offering endless outlets for release, while discouraging reflection, restraint, and conservation, leaving many men disconnected from their natural rhythm. Semen retention enters this landscape not as a trend or rebellion, but as a rediscovery of an ancient biological truth, long overshadowed by convenience and excess. The male body was designed to generate immense creative force, a current of energy that sustains physical strength, mental clarity, emotional stability, and the quiet authority of presence. When this force is expended repeatedly without purpose, the body compensates by borrowing from reserves meant for growth, repair, and resilience, creating a deficit that compounds over time. At first, the consequences are subtle, manifested as restlessness, irritability, or dull lack of motivation that cannot be traced to any single cause. As years pass, the nervous system becomes overstimulated, yet underpowered, oscillating between craving and exhaustion, unable to settle into equilibrium. Retention interrupts this cycle by halting the constant outflow, allowing the organism to redirect energy inward, initiating a process of recalibration rather than stimulation. This recalibration is not dramatic, nor immediate, because the body heals, methodically correcting imbalances layer by layer, rather than through sudden transformation in the earliest stages. Retention produces an unfamiliar stillness as the system adjusts to operating without its habitual outlet, creating discomfort that often masquerades as failure. Yet this discomfort is evidence of adaptation, the nervous system relearning restraint, and the mind confronting impulses it previously escaped. As weeks turn into months, subtle changes begin to emerge: deeper sleep, steadier mood, and a gradual return of morning vitality that no longer depends on stimulation. Confidence reappears not as bravado, but as internal stability, a grounded sense of self that does not require validation. This stability reflects improved nervous system coherence, as retained energy reinforces neural pathways responsible for focus, emotional regulation, and decision-making. Mental clarity sharpens distractions, lose their grip, and the mind regains its capacity for sustained attention without force. The body responds in parallel as circulation improves, digestion strengthens, and physical recovery accelerates, signaling a redistribution of internal resources. Exercise becomes not merely beneficial but essential, as retained energy seeks expression through movement, allowing surplus vitality to be transmuted into strength. Muscular engagement absorbs tension, preventing stagnation and directing pressure into constructive adaptation rather than restlessness. Through consistent physical effort, the body regains density, posture improves, and movements carry greater intention and control. Sexual desire evolves during this process, shifting from compulsive urgency to a more contained and deliberate force, integrated rather than dominant. This shift alters how a man relates to attraction, replacing anxiety with composure and impulsiveness with choice. Retention also heightens sensitivity to thought, revealing how imagination alone can redirect energy, demonstrating the mind's role in conservation or depletion. With this awareness, the man begins to govern attention, recognizing that where focus goes, vitality follows. Sleep patterns naturally align as circadian rhythms stabilize, allowing the body to complete deeper cycles of repair without interruption. Diet simplifies as the organism seeks nourishment that supports regeneration rather than stimulation, reflecting a growing internal coherence. As toxins and excess are removed from daily life, energy flows more freely, and the body's natural intelligence becomes increasingly apparent. Months of consistency yield visible changes. Muscle tone improves, skin clears, and the eyes regain brightness, reflecting restored internal balance. Sexual function stabilizes not through force or anxiety, but through health arising organically from equilibrium. Performance becomes reliable because it is no longer driven by fear of loss or desperation for validation. Retention reveals that much of what was perceived as aging was in fact depletion, and that restoration is possible through alignment rather than resistance. The slow pace of recovery teaches patience, replacing urgency with trust in biological processes. Over time, emotional resilience strengthens, allowing the man to withstand stress without fragmentation or collapse. Challenges remain, but they no longer overwhelm. Instead, they sharpen focus and reinforce adaptability. The power that returns through retention is quiet, not performative, grounded. Rather than aggressive, it manifests as steadiness in adversity, clarity in decision-making, and presence in silence. Others perceive this change instinctively, sensing authority without explanation. This authority does not seek dominance, but commands respect through consistency and self-regulation. Retention ultimately restores a man to himself, reconnecting him with an internal compass long obscured by excess. The process does not create a new identity, but recovers an original one buried beneath years of unconscious habit. As power returns, it becomes clear that retention is not about denial, but about conservation and direction energy once leaked into. Fleeting moments is now invested into growth, resilience, and purpose. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. The man who completes this journey no longer fears decline because he understands the mechanics of preservation. He moves through life with deliberation grounded in discipline rather than impulse. The slow return of power becomes permanent, not as a peak experience, but as a stable baseline. In this state, vitality is no longer chased, but embodied, sustained quietly through restraint, awareness, and alignment. What was lost is not merely regained, but understood, and that understanding ensures it is never squandered again. What ultimately returns through retention is not just physical strength, but a deeper command over the self that many men have never experienced before. The restless urgency that once governed thoughts and actions begins to dissolve, replaced by a steady internal pressure that fuels purpose rather than impulse. This pressure is not uncomfortable, it is stabilizing. It sharpens awareness, anchors confidence, and restores a sense of direction that had quietly faded. The man no longer reacts to life, but meets it with grounded presence, aware that his energy is no longer leaking, but accumulating. As this conservation continues, the nervous system recalibrates to a higher standard of functioning. Emotional volatility gives way to composure, mental fog clears into sustained focus, and physical vitality becomes reliable rather than conditional. Sexual energy no longer demands release to prove itself. It expresses through posture, voice, and intention. The body responds as if relieved of a long-standing burden, repairing tissue, strengthening circulation, and refining hormonal balance. What once felt fragile becomes resilient, and what once felt forced becomes natural. This transformation is quiet, which is why it is often overlooked. There is no dramatic announcement, no sudden revelation. Instead, one day arrives when weakness is simply absent. Fatigue no longer defines the day. Confidence no longer needs reinforcement. Discipline no longer feels like effort, but like alignment. The man realizes that he is no longer searching for power because he is operating from it. The slow return has already occurred. Retention does not grant something artificial or external. It restores what was always present beneath distraction and excess. By refusing to squander vitality, the man remembers who he is beneath impulse and conditioning. This remembrance is the true reward. It is the moment when energy becomes intentional, life becomes deliberate, and power becomes permanent.